The news that his old flame was back in the country reached Lucas while he was still on top of me, working up a sweat. When he took the call, his face changed, but he didn't pull away. I thought maybe he didn't care. I turned my head and tested the waters. I heard you were really into Julian before he got married. Lucas didn't say anything, just got rougher. When it was over, he lay beside me, lit a cigarette and said casually, "They got it wrong. It didn't matter if he was married or not. He's always been the one I liked." My heart stopped. I stared at him, my body rigid. Then what am I? Fuck buddy, what else? You enjoyed it too, didn't you? What, you want a title now? I was speechless. I'd been with Lucas for 3 years. We did everything a normal couple would do. I'd even moved into his villa and was living with him. I thought I was his boyfriend. Right now I felt like a clown. "That's not what I meant," I said, pretending to be calm, not daring to look him in the eye. The heartache was too much to bear. Afraid he'd see how upset I was, I ignored the ache in my body and started to get out of bed. "I'm going to the bathroom." Lucas suddenly grabbed me. His eyes locked on mine as he blew a smoke ring in my face. "Sam, is that a sad look on your face? I thought you were a smart guy. If you didn't look so much like him, I wouldn't have kept you around for 3 years without getting bored, right? I know my place." Lucas was the prince of the NYC social scene, and I was just a college kid from the middle of nowhere. We were worlds apart. Lucas got out of bed. "I'm gonna find Julian. You can grab a car back to campus." A notification popped up on my phone. A 5,000 transfer from him. He put a hand on my shoulder, his tone full of meaning. "Get an Uber Black. It's more comfortable." I nodded, my head down, and turned to walk away. The movement pulled at a sore spot, and I sucked in a sharp breath, but I had to pretend nothing was wrong. Just as I stepped out of the villa, I saw Lucas's sports car speed past me. His route to Julian's place would have taken him right by my school. But right now, his old flame was all he could think about. There was no room left for me. In those 3 years, Lucas showed me the glitzy, decadent life of a New York elite. He never hesitated to bring me into his world, to meet his circle of friends. Even when I sat there feeling completely out of place, all it took was for him to lean in close, and everything would feel right. During business dinners, he'd secretly hold my hand under the table, playing with my fingers. "Getting tired? Just a little longer and then we'll go home." How could I not fall deeper and deeper with that kind of gentleness and special treatment? Despite the vast difference in our statuses, I couldn't help but get greedy. But now that he had so bluntly shattered the illusion, I realized it was all just my own wishful thinking. I didn't order a private car. A single ride would have cost what my grandma lives on for a week. When she saw me, Grandma put down the tricycle piled with recyclables she was about to sell, looking surprised. "Sam, what are you doing back?" She glanced behind me. "You're by yourself? Didn't Lucas come with you?" A wave of loneliness washed over me. Grandma is my only family in this world. She came with me when I first started college. While I wasn't looking, she darted into the street to pick up a plastic bottle and got clipped by a car. The driver, instead of apologizing and taking responsibility, accused us of trying to scam him for money. It was Lucas who happened to be passing by and stopped to help. He used his influence to make the driver pay up and even offered to take my grandma to the hospital for a checkup. She had an excellent impression of him and always told me to bring him over for dinner. And Lucas, for all his high society airs, always played along. He'd show up with gifts and charm Grandma until she was beaming. Back then, I thought Lucas was just a genuinely good guy. I had no idea he was only interested in me for my looks, that it was all just lust at first sight. And I fell right into his sweet trap. "I missed you, Grandma. I bought groceries on the way back. I'm going to cook you a feast." I hurried into the kitchen, afraid she'd see that something was wrong. "Oh, honey, I'm an old woman. I can eat whatever. You're still young, you need to eat well and grow strong." Then, the little old lady pulled a red plastic bag from a pocket inside her clothes and handed it to me. I opened it and found a bank book. She pointed proudly at the balance. "Didn't you always want to study abroad? Grandma's been saving up for you. Whatever my Sammy wants to do, you go do it." The emotions I'd been bottling up all day finally burst. I hugged her, and my tears soaked into her clothes. A week ago, I had already turned down the offer to be an exchange student in the UK. Now, hearing my grandma's words, it was like a switch flipped in my head. For Lucas, I had completely forgotten about my lifelong goal. My phone rang. It was Lucas. I sent you a location. Be here in 30 minutes. Grandma recognized his voice and immediately shooed me out the door. She even pulled a bag of dumplings from the freezer. Lucas loved these last time. I made some more. Take them to him. I wanted to tell her that for a guy like Lucas, whose dinners cost 5 or 6 figures, saying he liked them was just being polite. But I took them so I wouldn't upset her. When I arrived at the private room, I saw the usual crowd, plus one new face. Well, not exactly new. I realized he and I did look quite a bit alike. Julian was sitting in what used to be my spot. He looked me up and down, then turned to Lucas. Your little boyfriend is so obedient. You call and he comes running right on time. He's a friend, not my boyfriend, Lucas said, draping his arm over Julian's shoulder. Don't go spreading rumors. Lucas shot a look at the others. His friends, who had all seen me with him before, immediately jumped in. Lucas hasn't had another guy around him for years. You know what's on his mind, Julian? Exactly. And Sam doesn't just listen to Lucas. He listens to me, too. The one who spoke was Jax, another player in their circle. He crossed his legs and jutted his chin at me. I hear you give a great massage. Come over here and work on my legs. In an instant, all eyes were on me, watching with a mixture of expressions. I looked at Lucas. He was expressionless. Go on. Give Jax a massage. Do a good job and he'll give you a nice tip. I always knew about the class divide between me and Lucas's crowd. But because he'd always protected me, they had at least shown me a basic level of respect. But now, the person who used to protect me was leading the charge to humiliate me. I took a deep breath, set down the bag, and walked over to Jax, squatting in front of him. Jax put a hand on my shoulder and pressed down hard. My knees gave out and I fell to the ground. He smiled with satisfaction. That's more like it. My knees hit the floor, and a jolt of pain shot through me. But worse than the pain was the humiliation of having my pride ground into the dirt. See, Julian? Sam is disobedient. Julian smiled at Lucas. Looks like I really did misunderstand you. Lucas, I apologize. No need for apologies. As long as you know how I feel. Lucas took his hand, their fingers intertwining. His eyes overflowed with affection as he confessed in front of everyone. Julian, you were married for 3 years, and I waited for you for 3 years. Now that you're finally divorced and back in the country, will you be with me? So that's why Lucas had called me here. Not just to prove to his old flame that I meant nothing to him, but to make me witness his grand confession. The people around them started cheering. Say yes, say yes. Julian smiled and simply said, Lucas, thank you for liking me. It's just, after 3 years of marriage, I don't think I believe in relationships anymore. It's okay. I can wait. I'll wait until the day you believe in me and accept me. Lucas spoke with sincerity, his eyes burning with intense love. When it came to chasing someone, he was an expert. He knew exactly how to play people. Back then, to win me over, he had showered me with care and attention. As a college freshman, I'd never seen anything like it. Under his relentless pursuit and with his friends cheering him on, I fell for it, captivated by the illusion. Now, the scene was exactly the same, only the target had changed. Julian gave a slight nod, and Lucas pulled him into a joyful hug. A sharp pain pierced my chest. I lowered my eyes, unable to watch anymore. Everyone was celebrating their happiness. No one cared about the feelings of the now expired old flame. Jax's hand moved to my thigh, caressing it as he watched me with a smirk. You know, Lucas, Sam's technique really is pretty good. I'm starting to fall for it. Since you're single now, why don't you come be with me? Jax was the wild card of the group. Even when I was with Lucas, he joked that if we ever broke up, he'd be next in line. Now he was actually saying it out loud in public. No one said a word, but they were all secretly watching Lucas. Lucas glanced at me, his face blank, then took out a cigarette and lit it. That's Sam's business. It's up to him whether he's interested or not. Why is everyone looking at me? Julian laughed, a teasing lilt in his voice. Yeah, why are they looking at you? Lucas immediately put out his cigarette, explaining anxiously, Shit, Julian, don't get the wrong idea. The explanation was weak. He suddenly looked at me, his expression serious. I think Jax would be a good fit for you. You should just say yes. I stared at Lucas, trying to gauge how serious he was. After a few seconds, he grew impatient. What are you looking at me for? Say something. I got it. He didn't want even a hint of a connection to me in front of Julian. It was a truth I already understood. But each new confirmation was another twist of the knife, forcing me to give up hope. My legs were numb from kneeling. I pushed myself up from the floor and took a few steps back. You're too kind, Jax, but my skills are nothing compared to a professional masseur. If you like my style, I can recommend my teacher. He's much better than I am. They were all smart enough to understand my polite refusal. Jax's face darkened, but he couldn't really lash out. But Julian chimed in, Jax, the guy would rather refer you to a professional than be with you. You should probably re-evaluate your charm. Someone let out a snort of laughter. The once cordial atmosphere suddenly turned strange. Jax's expression was grim as he glared at me. I sensed danger and wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. I placed the dumplings my grandma had sent on the table in front of Lucas. You said you liked grandma's dumplings last time. She wanted me to bring these for you. The smile on Lucas's face vanished. He glanced quickly at Julian. Julian was watching him with a smirk. Your connection runs so deep that his grandma knows what you like to eat. Lucas shot me a look of displeasure. I understood what he meant. I was ruining his moment. But if he didn't take the dumplings home to his freezer tonight, I had nowhere to store them at my dorm. I explained, Please don't misunderstand, Julian. Lucas helped me once, and my grandma invited him over for a meal. That's how she knows. Lucas nodded in agreement. That's right. But I appreciate your grandma's thought. You can take them back. Julian pouted playfully. Don't do that. Don't let his grandma's kindness go to waste. Take them home and cook them for me. I'm actually craving some homemade dumplings. Lucas picked up the bag, then tossed it into a nearby trash can like he was shooting a basketball. Whatever kind of homemade flavor you want, I'll have a chef make it for you. Julian smiled and leaned on his shoulder with a sigh. I really don't know what to do with you. It was obvious he was thrilled. Their back and forth, their little games, I was just a prop. Lucas. I clenched my fists and said his name. I'm leaving. He waved a hand dismissively without even looking at me. Lucas probably had no idea how many times he hurt me that night. Calling me over like a dog to prove his distance from me in front of Julian was the first time. Pushing me to get together with Jax was the second. Throwing my grandmother's dumplings in the trash to please Julian was the third. 3 strikes and you're out. It was time to let go of this obsession. I found a small restaurant and asked the owner to cook the dumplings I'd retrieved. I forced them down, swallowing the bitterness along with them. After the last one, I picked up my phone and made a call. Professor, about that exchange student position in the UK you mentioned. Is it still available? After 3 years of a ridiculous relationship, it was time to get my life back on track. With the plan set, I started preparing everything I needed to go abroad. I spent the next week in a constant flurry of activity. Then one night, Lucas called. What have you been so busy with? I haven't heard from you. He spoke as if nothing had happened. I suppressed the strange feeling in my chest and asked flatly, Do you need something? Why are you so cold to me all of a sudden? I heard the click of his lighter, his tone casual. I was just wondering when you're coming over tomorrow to pack up your stuff. Julian needs a place to stay, and I was planning on having him move in with me. So that was it. If it wasn't for Julian, Lucas probably wouldn't have called me at all. It's all useless junk. You can just throw it out. It wasn't useless, of course. It was all luxury stuff Lucas had bought for me on a whim, worth tens of thousands of dollars. But it wasn't mine to begin with, so I didn't need it. Lucas clicked his tongue. Sam, don't tell me you're actually jealous. To put it nicely, we were friends with benefits. To be blunt, we were fuck buddies. Don't you think you're being a little too possessive? His words were as ridiculous as they were painful. It just goes to show, no matter how rational you try to be, a scumbag's words can still get to you. You're mistaken. I'm not. If you're not, then come get your stuff tomorrow. I was standing in a convenience store near Lucas's place, looking at the text he just sent me, and I couldn't help but laugh. By the way, we're out of condoms. Grab a few boxes on your way over. I had to be the world's biggest idiot buying condoms for my ex. Was there anyone else this pathetic? When I got to his house with the stuff and rang the doorbell, there was no answer for a long time. Just as I was about to leave, the door finally opened. Julian's clothes were a mess. His face was flushed, and he was trying to leave. Lucas was right behind him, grabbing his arm. Julian, please don't go. Julian glanced at me. Never mind. It looks like you're busy. I shouldn't interrupt. He left and Lucas shot me a glare. Even an idiot could figure out what had just been happening inside. It seemed I'd come at the wrong time and ruined their fun. I held out the bag. Here's what you wanted. Lucas glanced at it. Didn't you see he already left? You couldn't have come earlier or later. You always ruin everything. He turned and walked into the living room, lit a cigarette, and irritably tugged at his collar. I was completely speechless. I followed him in and threw the bag at him. I told you yesterday I don't need that stuff, that you could just toss it. You're the one who told me to come over. You're the one who told me to buy the condoms. How the hell was I supposed to know you had someone here? And now it's all my fault. You couldn't seal the deal, so you're taking it out on me? I'd never said so much at once. Lucas seemed stunned, silent for a long moment. I was so angry I didn't care about his pride. But he was a powerful man, and he'd probably never been yelled at like that in his life. After the anger subsided, I felt a little nervous, worried he would fly into a rage. Just as I was debating whether to say something to smooth things over, Lucas took a few hard drags from his cigarette, crushed it out in the ashtray, and suddenly laughed. Sam, that's the first time you've ever gotten mad at me. See? You are jealous. Just because I was about to get it on with Julian? He stood up and walked toward me, his fingers tracing my lips. His eyes darkened. Well, since we already bought them, we shouldn't let them go to waste. He leaned in to kiss me. As his hand went for my belt, my eyes widened in disbelief. Furious and humiliated, I pushed him away and slapped him across the face. Waste your ass. Lucas, what do you think I am? Some cheap piece of trash? For you to humiliate me again and again. I'm not some fucking escort you ordered. I screamed, losing control in a way I never had before. Even though Lucas had told me that's all we were, his actions right now made my entire body tremble with rage. A bright red handprint was visible on Lucas's face. He looked livid. I thought he would hit me back. I braced myself. No, weren't we always great together? Nobody's calling you an escort. You get off, I get off, everybody's happy. I couldn't stand to hear another one of his blood-boiling remarks. I turned and walked out. Lucas was stunned by the slap. By the time he came to his senses, the person who'd done it was long gone. He looked at his reflection in the floor-to-ceiling window, a clear red handprint on his cheek. He should have been furious, but for some reason, the anger wouldn't quite surface. Growing up, everyone around him had been a sycophant, too afraid to even raise their voice at him. Then, in college, he met Julian, who was a year older. Julian was gentle and sophisticated but never pandered to him. Among all the flatterers, he was special. Later, when Julian went abroad and got flash married, Lucas was heartbroken and jealous. Until the day he ran into Sam on the street. He was shielding his grandmother, arguing heatedly with the driver who had hit her. His fair skin was flushed from forcing himself to speak loudly. You could tell he was nervous, but his clear eyes were firm, without a hint of retreat. In that moment, it was like something struck him, and an image of Julian flickered in his mind. By the time he snapped out of it, he was already out of his car, grabbing the driver's arm. The second he announced who he was, the driver paid up without another word. He offered to take Sam's grandmother to the hospital, helping him navigate the unfamiliar city. He slowly got closer to him, luring him in until he became his prey. For 3 years, the boy had been his bed partner, always obedient, always understanding. He'd never once seen him lose his temper. And today, he'd actually laid a hand on him. "Lucas, what happened to your face? Looks like someone slapped you." At the card table, Jax teased him. "Don't tell me you tried to force yourself on Julian and he hit you?" Julian glanced at Lucas and chided. "Don't be ridiculous. I'm not that kind of rough person." Lucas worked his jaw, looking unconcerned. "Just an allergic reaction." Julian looked at him, noticing his distracted gaze on the cards. "Is something on your mind today? You seem out of it." Lucas pinched his chin playfully. "Everything on my mind is you. Took you long enough to notice." Julian's face flushed. He turned away, trying to look serious. "Smooth talker. How would you know? Have you had a taste?" Lucas leaned in closer. Julian suddenly turned his head and pecked him on the lips. "I've had a taste." "It's true," he said, then tried to pull away. Lucas's eyes darkened as he pulled him back, deepening the kiss, until a complaint came from the side. Jax tapped the table. "Hey, can you two spare a thought for us single people? If you want to make out, get a room." Lucas released Julian, a triumphant smirk on his face. "You're just jealous." "Damn right I am. I've been texting Sam for days, and he won't even give me the time of day. I've never had to chase someone this hard in my life. He's really pushing his luck." Lucas frowned, his tone shifting noticeably. "You're serious about this?" Julian chimed in. "It's the first time in all these years I've seen Jax this hung up on someone." "Lucas, you're on good terms with Sam, right? You should help him out." Jax threw down his mahjong tiles and put his hands together in a plea. "Come on, man, please. If you help me land Sam, I'll treat you to a huge dinner." Lucas worked his jaw again. It still throbbed. He thought, if Sam doesn't want to be my bed partner, let him try Jax. Then he'll realize how good he had it with me. I finished packing my bags. The plan was to take Grandma back to her village tomorrow and pay a neighbor to help look after her. Just as I was about to sleep, I got a text from Lucas. "I have a fever. Can you bring me some medicine?" A week had passed since our fight. At first, I was worried Lucas would retaliate. After a week of nothing, I finally relaxed. With my departure so close, I didn't want any unexpected problems. Now, seeing the message, I just ignored it. Not 3 minutes later, his call came through. His voice was raspy. "Sam, I feel awful. Can you please bring me some medicine?" I was about to tell him he could order a delivery service. But then Lucas's voice turned pitiful. "Please." I stood at the door of the hotel room he'd mentioned, holding the medicine, telling myself this was the last time. A final period at the end of this chapter of my life. The room wasn't locked, so I walked straight in. It was pitch black. I fumbled for a light switch but couldn't find one. Just as I was about to use my phone as a flashlight, I heard the door click shut behind me. Then, I was slammed against the wall and kissed forcefully. My scalp tingled. I lifted my leg and kicked hard between my attacker's legs. I heard a grunt, and then Jax was cursing, his hands closing around my neck. "You son of a bitch! You dare kick me! Do you have a death wish? Go on then. Kill me if you have the guts." I'd heard stories about Jax before. He was known for using extreme, often brutal and bloody methods to get what he wanted. Lucas had once gossiped about him with me, joking, "You're lucky you met me. If you'd run into Jax, you'd probably be black and blue by now." Jax sneered and slapped me. My ears rang. "Sam, don't think I won't. You don't have Lucas to protect you anymore. You're just a dog. I can do whatever I want to you. Oh, by the way, he's the one who gift-wrapped you for me tonight." The moment I realized it was Jax, I'd guessed as much. I had overestimated human decency. I had overestimated what little feeling Lucas might have had for me. Jax gripped my chin. "It's your lucky day I even want you. Cooperate and this can be pleasant. Otherwise, I have plenty of ways to make you suffer." I pulled out a small fruit knife and pressed it to his neck. "Let's see you try." Jax let out a cold, dismissive laugh. The next second, he'd knocked the knife from my hand and slammed me against the wall, pinning me. "Forgot to tell you I've had martial arts training. Your little moves are nothing. All right, since you don't want to take the easy way, I won't be polite. The knife was in his hand now. The cold blade slid across my face and down to my neck. A sharp sting, then a flow of warmth. Behind me, Jax was still spewing filth. My head throbbed, and I felt dizzy. Suddenly, it all felt so ridiculous. Just when I was about to escape my predicament, fate had pushed me into another abyss. If only I had never met Lucas in the first place. I regretted everything. When I woke up, a day had passed. Looking around the hospital room, I realized I wasn't dead. Sam, you're finally awake. Lucas was holding my hand, his expression emotional. I struggled to sit up and noticed a bandage around my neck. How did I get to the hospital? Lucas's expression flickered. You don't remember? I shook my head. Lucas exchanged a look with the doctor. The doctor explained, the patient shows signs of a concussion. Combined with the recent trauma, it's possible he's chosen to block out certain memories. Lucas squeezed my hand tightly. It's better that you forgot. It's all over now. From the moment I woke up, Lucas seemed to revert to the person I first met. He took care of my every need, spending most of his time with me. 3 days later, I was ready to be discharged. He was about to drive me back to campus when he got a call from Julian. Lucas, my stomach hurts. Can you take me to the hospital? If it's not a good time, just forget it. This sudden move from his old flame made Lucas hesitate. Go ahead. I can get back to school by myself. Lucas looked at me. Then I'll come pick you up from campus for dinner tonight. I nodded, watched him leave, then picked up my phone. Professor, is the flight tonight? I'm ready. I'm heading straight to the airport now. I didn't have selective amnesia. In fact, I remembered everything that happened that day with perfect clarity. When Jax was about to force himself on me, I used my last ounce of consciousness to fight back and escape the room, and ran right into Lucas. I must have looked so pathetic and broken that he panicked, catching me as I fell and yelling at Jax. He brought me to the hospital, and after I woke up, whether out of guilt or something else, his attitude completely changed. But no matter what he did, it didn't change the fact that he had helped Jax lure me there. For the past few days, I'd been faking amnesia while secretly arranging for my grandma to be sent back to her village. With no one to worry about, today was the day I would leave this place for good and say goodbye to the toxic people and the mess. I was just a kid from a poor village, my grandma's only support. I couldn't win their games, but I could run far, far away. Just before boarding the plane, I got a text from Lucas. I'm almost done here. I'll be there to pick you up soon. Have you decided what you want to eat? I looked at the message from this man and thought back on the past few years. There was happiness, moments I was touched, disappointment, and despair. He brought it all to me. I didn't reply. I just blocked and deleted his contact, then turned off my phone. In the UK, I threw myself into being busy. Besides my studies, I worked part-time jobs to earn extra money. The bank book my grandma gave me, I secretly put back. That was the money the little old lady had saved her entire life, scrimping and saving. I was an adult now. I couldn't keep draining her lifeblood. Over the years with Lucas, he had given me money from time to time. I saved it all. Back then, I had a secret thought. If he ever accused me of being with him for his money, I would throw it all in his face. Now, I swallowed my pride and decided to use it for myself. It was the least I could do for being Lucas's bed partner for 3 years. 3 months later, I was coming out of the library with a group of new friends when one of them tapped my shoulder and pointed across the street. Sam, that guy over there has been staring at you. Is he a friend of yours? I looked over. Lucas was standing under a streetlight, wearing a long coat. The light flickered across his face, making it hard to read. I had changed all my contact information since leaving the country. Besides a few very close friends, almost no one knew where I was. But of course, the prince of the NYC social scene would be able to track me down here. As I saw him cross the street and head toward me, my first instinct was to run. But Lucas grabbed my arm. Sam, you really ran far. You were hard to find. His voice was strained, laced with a barely concealed anger. What do you want? To gift me to another one of your friends as a plaything? Lucas froze, a look of pain crossing his face. You do remember everything. I let out a cold laugh and took 2 steps toward him. I never forgot a thing. You used my kindness to push me toward Jax. Jax is a piece of shit, and so are you. Even now, I sometimes have nightmares about that night. The fear and trauma had been clinging to me, and now it was all finally erupting. I didn't think he would actually do that to you. I just thought, he's my friend, and if you two got together, it would be fine. But then I regretted it. I realized I couldn't stand the thought of you with someone else. Lucas's explanation was pathetic, making me feel even more like an idiot. I was trembling as I screamed at him. Lucas, who the hell do you think you are to me? What gives you the right to make decisions for my life? You think because you suddenly grew a conscience, I should be grateful to you? From the moment you made that choice, you were no different from Jax. If you have even a shred of decency left, stay out of my sight and leave me alone. I pushed him away and started walking. Lucas, looking wounded, tried to follow, but my friends blocked him. I thought that after I'd been so blunt and he'd lost so much face, Lucas would go back to his own country. But for the next few days, he appeared everywhere I went. He'd follow from a distance, never speaking. Until one day, a handsome foreign guy came up to me on the street, started chatting, and asked for my number. Just as I was about to give it to him, Lucas stormed over, pulled me to his side, and wrapped a possessive arm around my shoulder. He said to the guy in fluent English, "He's my boyfriend." The relationship he wouldn't acknowledge for 3 years was suddenly declared under these circumstances. The handsome guy shrugged and walked away. I pushed Lucas off me and looked at him coldly. "Lucas, do you think this is funny? Since when are you my boyfriend?" Lucas looked hurt. "We were together for 3 years. Do you really have no feelings for me at all? Don't forget, you were the one who said we were just sleeping partners. What is it now you can't find anyone else to sleep with? Did you really have to come all this way, Your Royal Highness, just to mess with me and bully me?" "I didn't," Lucas shot back. He stepped forward and grabbed my hands, his expression urgent and serious. "It's not what you think. I never wanted to hurt you. You might not believe this, but it was only after you disappeared that I realized I can't live without you. Sam, stop being angry. Come back with me. I promise, as soon as we're back, I'll make Jax kneel down and apologize to you." Listening to Lucas's self-important words, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "What makes you think I'm just being angry right now? What makes you think that just because you say you can't live without me, I have to go back with you?" Lucas frowned. "You don't like me? I can feel it, you know. You have feelings for me. Sam, life is short. We don't need to make things unpleasant over a small issue. At least we were great in bed, right? Where else are you going to find someone who can make you feel as good as I do?" Lucas said it all so matter-of-factly. I never knew the man I'd liked for 3 years had this side to him. He was so repulsive he seemed like a stranger. He knew I used to have feelings for him, but he ignored them, treating me as nothing more than a bed partner. And now, he wanted me to go back and continue the same arrangement. I took out my phone, played a recording, and Lucas's voice filled the air. "What do you think would happen if I sent this to Julian? Does he know you came all this way to beg me to go back with you? Or would he be okay with the 3 of us being in a relationship?" The sarcasm wiped the look from Lucas's face. He opened his mouth as if to argue. I had no desire to hear any more of his toxic bullshit. "Disappear from my sight right now, or I'm sending him the recording." It worked. I didn't see him again after that, but he called almost every day, telling me how much he missed me. "Sam, I've only just realized it now. It wasn't Julian I liked. It's always been you. When are you going to forgive me?" Listening to his drunken ramblings, I felt nothing, just an endless annoyance. "Lucas, stop with the deep in love act. I know you. You always want what you can't have. Please don't like me. It just feels like harassment." I hung up, changed my SIM card, and finally got some peace. Until one day I saw news about Jax. The Jiang family had been arrested for financial crimes. Without their powerful backing, all of Jax's dirty deeds from over the years were exposed, and he was sentenced to prison. A mutual acquaintance of mine and Lucas's ran into me on a business trip to the UK. He told me about Lucas's recent situation. "Ever since you left, Lucas has been a different person. He even broke up with Julian. Now Julian is chasing him, but Lucas won't even give him the time of day. Sam, I'm telling you, Lucas has really fallen for you. Are you sure you won't consider going back and getting back together with him? Fallen for me? Please. It was just the classic case of not cherishing what you have and regretting it when it's gone. That's just how pathetic he is. He never knew what it meant to truly love someone. I pulled the man beside me closer, leaning on his shoulder. Do me a favor and tell Lucas I have a boyfriend now. Tell him to stop fantasizing and to stop interfering with my life. My new boyfriend was a foreigner. He was wonderful to me, we had so much in common, and he respected me completely. After being with him, I realized just how miserable my life had been for those 3 years. One day, I was walking down the street holding his hand when I felt like someone was watching me from behind. The feeling persisted until my boyfriend dropped me off at home. At my doorstep, on a whim, I pulled my boyfriend into a deep French kiss. I only let go when the feeling of being watched disappeared. Don't go home tonight. Stay with me. My boyfriend and I grew closer and closer. After a while, the feeling of being watched became less frequent, until it vanished completely. One day, my grandma video called me and brought up Lucas on her own. Lucas is such a good boy. Even though you're not here, he still brings me things and comes to visit. He'll sit with me for a whole afternoon, always asking about you. You two didn't have a fight, did you? I hadn't expected Lucas to do all that. I reassured my grandma and hung up. After thinking for a moment, I decided to call him. It was the first time I had initiated a call in all the time we'd been apart. Took a long while for him to pick up. The background was noisy. Sounded like a club. It's me. Is this a good time to talk? I heard a crash on his end, and then the noise faded. Yes, it's a good time. Sam, this is the first time you've ever called me. Lucas sounded genuinely happy. I cut off his trip down memory lane and got straight to the point. My grandma told me you've been visiting her. Yeah. I figured since you're not around, I'd help take care of her. Don't worry, with me here, I'll make sure she's well looked after. I interrupted him again, impatiently. Lucas, it's been 3 years. You should have learned something new by now. Are you still using the same old trick? Aren't you tired of it? I was young and naive back then, easily moved and trapped. But I'm not that person anymore. I've already arranged for someone to care for my grandma. So I don't need you to waste your time, Your Highness. Please stay far away from my life and my grandma's. In all these years, I've never asked you for anything. This is my final request. Lucas's voice cracked. Sam, do you hate me that much? You won't even let me visit your grandma? You need love to have hate. To me, you're just a stranger now. Please don't disturb our ordinary lives. I'm begging you, Your Highness, to show some mercy. After a moment of silence, he replied in a dry voice. Okay, Sam, Julian and I are over. He has a new boyfriend now. He suddenly said this, as if trying to prove something. I just hummed in response. What a coincidence. I have a new boyfriend, too. The breathing on his end grew heavier, like he was trying to restrain something. I was about to hang up when Lucas lowered his voice, the words coming out with difficulty. Sam, I'll wait for you forever. I'll wait for the day you look back at me. That day will never come. I hung up without hesitation. This time it was really over for good. I stayed abroad for 5 years. I returned to the country with an impressive resume, landed a job at a top company, and had a satisfying salary and a good circle of friends. My boyfriend came back with me. Though he's a foreigner, I've trained him to speak fluent Mandarin. Later, at a business dinner, I saw Lucas from a distance. He had a young man by his side. My boyfriend exclaimed, Sam, why does that guy look so much like you? Is he your twin brother? Don't be silly. I'm an only child. I smiled and pulled my boyfriend away. I'd heard the rumors. Not long after I left, Lucas found a boy who looked a lot like me. They all said that after I was gone, I became the new unattainable love of his life. When I first heard that, I just scoffed. I don't want to be someone's old flame. I just want to be the one my partner loves right now. The past and the future are out of our control. All that matters is loving in the present and cherishing the now.